Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots, and I'm here with Andrew Lee, bro, and we are done with another year. We finished 1994. We just watched Starrcade 94. Overall, what did you think of 1994 as a year in whole of wrestling?
It was good, but I got a little complaint.
What?
One of our listeners was talking shit about our podcast going an hour. Let me tell you something, all right?
What, they want it shorter or longer?
It went an hour. They're like, oh, why does it need to be an hour? I was like, because it is, all right? And you know what? Don't talk about my girlfriend. Don't call her a stupid fucking bitch, okay, guys? Don't do that, all right? This drama, I can't handle it.
Yeah, drama? You having drama with a listener?
No, I was referencing the AEW drama, but I guess it went an
Oh. I really, because I didn't see a comment. I'm like, an hour is like the minimum that we should be talking. Like, if
hour.
if
Yeah,
we cover like
an
a
hour is a
podcast,
minimum.
like if our podcast is 20 minutes, let's say we reviewed WrestleMania 12 and we talk for 20 minutes and that's it. That's pretty much a waste of a podcast. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know?
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
Um,
like it just shows we're not put an hour. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Britt Baker MJF
you want to talk about
situation.
that a little bit? I love talking AEW drama. It's so much fun.
I
Do you
mean,
want to do
the
that?
weird thing to me is how the wrestling media frames the story. So here's the basic gist of the story. Let me see if I get it right. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Britt Baker complained that the match was going too long. Alicia Aboot. I don't know. Her MGF's girlfriend hears it, says something. Britt Baker calls her a stupid fucking bitch and says she's going to kick her out of the locker room. MJF hears that. And this is now where the dirt cheats enterprise. He politely knocks on the door and asks to go into the women's room. He goes in there. Him and Britt Baker have words. And then, again, this is according to the dirt sheet writers, he then goes all the way down the hallway, very long hallway. He goes and then punches the wall. And Will Ospreay says something to Britt Baker, why are you always starting shit? And then Tony suspended Britt Baker. Is that the story you heard?
More or less, yeah, more or less. I think I don't know if she was complaining about that it being an hour, or if just she was complaining that the match was not going to get 5 stars. I forget which one is it. She was like, this
I
match
think
is
he
not
was
even
complaining
happening.
that like it's less time for us. Well,
I
I
heard
didn't.
differently. I heard she said, "This isn't even Japan. Why does this match is not going to be 5 stars? Why even do an hour?" That's what she said. In
That's what
that,
she said.
that's what she said. Yeah,
Well,
in
then
that.
she made fun of Dave Meltzer, so she's lucky that Tony didn't like murder her. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
What did you say
I
about Dave Meltzer? Wait. Oh, you're talking shit about MJF? You're suspended. What'd you say about Dave Meltzer? I'm gonna fucking fire you.
my thing is like I love like there's wrestling reporters out there that if this happened with let's say Bailey and LA Knight, they would totally be like LA Knight is a rapist. Da, 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 da. But the fact that they're trying to be like he politely knocked on the door, he politely asked to go inside. Then when he got upset, he like drove 5 miles away and then punched the wall.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it's like no, dude. He he went in there to confront her. They probably don't like each other. It is what it is, you know. She he went
That's
in and confronted her, and then he
mhm.
got frustrated and he can't hit her, so he hit the wall.
That's crazy that they don't like each other because like
They're the same person.
her yeah, you're right. Besides the gender, they're the same person. Um, they're both from trashy cities.
They're both one trick ponies.
Yeah. Um, but here's the thing. Her is Adam Cole her fiance or boyfriend?
It's I heard it's over. The rumor is it's over. He's moving back to PA by himself. She's still in Florida.
Oh, Adam Cole is moving back to Pennsylvania. Oh, maybe that's what. Because I was gonna say, if Adam Cole and her stay dating, still dating, it'll be weird because aren't Adam Cole and MJF friends? But maybe now that they're broken up, like you say, he also has written her off. Because
Can I
here's the
tell
thing:
you?
whenever I had a girlfriend and she was friendly with all my friends, when we break up, my friends were no longer automatically her friends anymore. It was over. You know, that's how it mostly is. You know, usually is.
Can I tell you though? I think Britt Baker's the type that Adam Cole could be like, this guy's like not only my best friend, he's my brother. he like say my mother's life, and if that guy annoys her, she's just gonna put it out there. She's just gonna be like, "Shut the fuck up, you fucking idiot." Doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like her boyfriend's like this. This person means a lot to me. I just don't think she gives a fuck about anyone but herself. You know.
She does give that. Hey, I maybe she's not like that, but she does give off that energy and
The
that
fact that like the
smell.
fact that like there's all this drama with Thunder Rosa now MJF. The fact that like she blocked me when I like responded to a tweet where I didn't tag her, I didn't even follow her. I don't pay it. I responded to a tweet that all our matches are the same, and then she found that, which means she's sitting on her fucking couch like a fucking loser, like searching herself on Twitter to see what people think about her.
Yeah,
It
and
just
at one time I stalked her and she got all mad at me that I was standing outside her window at like 2 in the morning. Like, get over it, God.
no, but my other thing too is like I don't think MJF is entirely like guilt free. He did go to confront the woman, and he got physically mad about it. I think then you can't let a woman sell like that. But the fact that like the wrestling reporters are like, well, he walked down the hallway and like, no, dude,
Yeah,
he still got really
here's the thing about that
physically mad.
story. It seems super one-sided,
Yeah,
right? Like the way, like I know what you're talking about. Everything's Britt Baker's fault, and MJF did everything the right way,
where
which seems super unrealistic.
I
Yeah.
think going into the room to talk to Britt Baker already you lost. Like you're going into the women's locker room. I think you've already lost. And I think punching the wall, I don't care if people saw you punch the wall, you definitely lost that confrontation. If a
Mm.
woman's making you punch a wall, you shouldn't, you're a man. You shouldn't let a woman get, I don't care that you flew to Tahiti and then punched the wall. You still did it. Like, don't let people see, go to the hotel room and then fucking punch the wall and say to Alicia, I hate that cunt. You know what I mean? Don't
Or
like,
Tahiti. Go to Tahiti is fine too.
are gonna, yeah. I'm just saying, it's like, I don't know. But also, I just think that company, it's also a thing where Tony doesn't know how to be a boss, and I don't know. I don't know. It's we, dude. My thing with AEW is I don't have any hopes for them anymore. I'll watch the shows with Ringside Dave, right? And if Ringside Dave wants to take me to shows, I'll go. But like we're recording this on a Wednesday, I'm just gonna keep watching my DC superhero shows once we're done here. I'm not gonna watch Dynamite because he is just going to cater to the internet fucking wrestling writers who are going to say that Tony is great no matter what, and that MJF did not like. They're never going to like have any introspective like maybe we should like change things around. They're just never going to do it. So it's like, what's the point of me watching this?
Speaking of AEW, let's go into the other AEW news. The rumor is that the Lucha Brothers contracts, we're talking about Pentagon Jr. or Dark
Mm-hmm.
Pentagon and Ray Phoenix's brother, are both their contracts coming up at the end of this month or September, right? Now,
Yeah.
going along with what you said, and I want to I want your opinion on this, but before you do so, you're saying how these hardcore AEW fans think like Tony Khan did nothing wrong. I am actually on the AEW official subreddit. I like reading what the hardcore AEW fans say. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things I saw about it was that like if the Lucha Brothers go, AEW's fine, and they have a picture of all these other luchadors that they have, like Roosh and Hologram and
But are never
Bandito
on
and stuff
TV.
like that. And somebody was like, "Are you're saying one Mexican is just as good as the other?" Is basically what you're saying, right? And then you don't, yeah, like they were like, "You have no idea how racist." But that's exactly what it's like. Oh, we're fine. Who cares if they leave? Like, no, you fuck. This to me, in my opinion, if AEW loses the Lucha Brothers, it's a big deal. I think it's a big blow, similar to like when Cody left. It's a big blow, in my opinion. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, they haven't made the Lucha Brothers a big deal for years. The Lucha Brothers, to me, are a big deal. They
Yeah,
should have been featuring them as their main act. They
facts.
they they put Penta in a match with CM Punk with no build up. That should be a pay per view match. That should have been a build.
Yes.
They kind
Mhm.
of treated them like they like doofuses, like people that don't matter or the henchmen of Pac. They completely mismanaged them, and they could have mattered a great deal, but they didn't. Same thing with Ricky Stark. These are three acts that can matter a great deal, but every now and then Tony just gets bored and forgets that he has them to play with. I have a prediction. The Chicago NXT. So the first CW NXT is going to be on October 1st. It's going to be in Chicago, and CM Punk will be there. I
Yes,
think
right.
Ricky Starks and Lucha Brothers are pulling a Lex Luger, and they're going to show up.
Oh, you mean like wait, when's Ricky Stark's contract coming up?
Nobody knows, but I think it's already up, and he'll be there.
Oh, wait, when is that? When is that NXT in Chicago?
October 1st.
Oh, you think
Or well, the next one is in St. Louis, so they're on the road for the first two CW NXTs. I can see Lucha Brothers showing up in St. Louis, but I think someone big is going to make the jump on that one, and either attack Punk or save Punk.
okay, that's feasible because that's October 1st and October 8th. So right now we just started August, right? So that's
Yeah.
like that gives us like close to 2 months, right?
My prediction, yeah, and I think because of the World Series, one of those NXTs are going to go up against Dynamite. And here's the other thing too: now that they're on the CW, they have a far bigger reach because now they're on broadcast TV. You
Mm.
know, um, so people are going to be able to watch more. The problem is the CW. This is going to be like the CW has really fallen apart. The only show they have left is Superman and Lois. They just show reruns, so that could long term be a problem. But I think if the CW promotes and they promote here in the area, a lot of people, more people have CW than USA. It could be big for NXT, but we'll see.
I'll tell you what, if it does happen, and the first of NXT shows on the road, NXT shows from CW, if Ricky Starks or the Lucha Brothers show up, I will admit that you called it first.
Mm-hmm.
Here
Yeah, I
you
think
go.
they're going to
Right?
pull a Lex Luger,
That's very possible. Yeah, that's very possible. Because even if let's say their contract ends in October, I'm sorry, not October,
There's no more
August.
non competes. Ricochet could show up tonight on Dynamite. It felt like it.
Do they have non competes in AEW though?
Non competes have been made completely illegal by the government. You can't enforce them anymore.
Really? When did this happen?
Recently, so like if tonight Seth Rollins gets fired for whatever reason, he can show up on Collision on Saturday.
Mm,
They can no longer prevent you from doing it. If you
that's
already have
fantastic.
one in place, if there's already one in place, then yes. Like if you were already fired, then yes. But like now, if someone new, like if someone were to get fired today, they could conceivably show up on any show this weekend.
That's fantastic. That makes wrestling a little bit more exciting, in my opinion. You
Yeah,
know?
and I just think Tony Khan. I mean, with Ricochet and with Shane McMahon, I would wait until the London show to have those guys show up.
Oh my gosh, that's another thing we got to talk about. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
I love AEW. This is like they have so much drama. I fucking love AEW. They are my favorite soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
The next piece of AEW news that's big. We're only gonna talk about the big ones. Shane McMahon took a picture. There's a picture that Tony Khan leaked of him having a meeting with Shane McMahon. First question to you, Ray. Number one, what are your thoughts on that? Number two, how much cocaine do you think these two guys did together?
I thought I'm okay. My thoughts on it is he's definitely coming aboard. I
Really? You
Yes,
think Shane McMahon's 100% coming aboard?
yeah. You don't leak that photo unless he's coming aboard. You don't leak that photo. What is the point of leaking that photo if he's going to just go back to WWE? You know what I mean?
Because you're Tony Khan.
I know, but I think also having Shane when Tony Khan goes to make deals, I think having McMahon, the McMahon name means a lot still when you have meetings in terms
Yes,
of
yes, it does. 100% does. Yes.
so having
Yes.
Shane be a key executive, I think is important. Here's the other reason I think he's coming in. Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson said at All In, if he does not win the belt, he will retire. He will not
Yes.
wrestle again. Shane McMahon is going to help him win the belt. And then Shane will align himself with Brian Danielson, and he'll be a heel for the last bit of his run.
Hmm. That's another
That's how you
bold
bring in.
prediction. Okay, so you guys heard it here first. Ray Goots is calling that at All in Wembley Stadium again, right? Is it
Yeah,
Wembley? Okay.
yeah.
Shane McMahon is going to debut helping Daniel Bryan win the AEW World Title from Swerve Strickland.
Swerve.
Yeah, and interesting. Let me ask you another question on this, okay? Because
Yeah.
you believe that he's coming in. Do you think Shane coming in is gonna hurt the company or help the company? Because it could
I
hurt
think it
the
might help
company.
the
It could
company
100%
behind.
hurt the company, right?
I
Because
think
there's
it'll help
no.
the company behind the scenes. I think Tony Khan will be taken more seriously with meetings, having McMahon in his corner. Um, I think on screen it won't do anything.
Um, it can hurt the company because there's a lot of hardcore AEW fans who are like, they like AEW because anything WWE McMahon related is evil.
Well, no, because what they're gonna do is what I would do. You have Bryan Danielson. Remember, they were co-GMs on SmackDown, and Bryan Danielson's first match back, he's Shane McMahon's tag partner, and they never did an angle where they betrayed each other. They were still friends till the end. Um, so you work that in. You basically be like Bryan Danielson said, I couldn't win. I can't win the big one being a wrestler. All I do is have a broken neck and I keep losing. So I've turned back to sports entertainment. I've turned to Shane. Shane is my brother. He's not just my friend. I'm basically a McMahon. I've always been a McMahon. And you have Bryan Danielson reject Ring of Honor and reject all that and embrace being a McMahon and be like, you just have Bryan Danielson play it up and people will love it. They'll love it because they'll be like, I was an idiot for wrestling like a buffoon. And that's why I lost to fat, smelly Eddie Kingston. But now that I've embraced sports entertainment, I'm an entertainer. And you
That's
even like
funny.
change the name of the BCC to the Greenwich Village.
No, the Mean Street Posse. Just call themselves the Mean Street Posse, dude.
And then you have Pete. You bring in
the name Mean Street Posse, and they should just call themselves that.
And then you have fucking Bryan Nelson be like my new sensei. I remember we had William Regal. This is my new sensei. You bring out Pete Gas. Like you just really play up that he's rejecting AEW and people eat it up because you have to play into it. Like you have to play like I reject what this place stands for, and then the announcers can be like, oh my god, this guy was like having 5-star classics, and he doesn't even try to defend the belt. Pulls all these Jerry Lawler moves where he's like stalling. You play it up. They're not going to do that though. They're not going to. Brian's going to turn anyway, and then he's going to have a 90-minute fucking back and forth match with Evil Uno on Collision where he gets injured. I mean, like they're not going to. But that's what I would do, and I think people would eat it up. They would eat it up,
and also get that sweet Mean Street Posse theme. Tony Khan can buy it. He can afford it.
Boom. Oh, yeah. But I would just play up that he just completely rejects everything. Everything. He completely sells his soul. The shot you close with on All In is Shane and Bryan Danielson shaking hands in the ring like Austin McMahon. And Tony Khan standing in the aisle like, oh, oh. And then like you don't even have when you do the press conference, you're like, Brian and Shane left. They don't even want to be in the press conference. Don't have fucking Shane and Brian sit there and talk like it's all fake. Like, just they left. Swerve is like pissed, and Swerve is like this bitch ass McMahon. You play it up.
Swerve is a bitch.
I know they're not going to do any of this. And Shane will be at the press conference shitting on his dad. Anyway.
Interesting. So we'll see. You've called a lot, and I'm interested in seeing if any of that stuff happens.
It's gonna be an interesting fall. Those are my predictions. When Bryan Danielson said, "If I don't win, I'm retiring," I already know like he's gonna win through some weirdness because it's like they're not gonna have him retire against Swerve Scott. That's a waste of. I'm sorry, that's a waste of time. Still got to get a few more matches out of this guy. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. But speaking of a few matches out of somebody, Starrcade 94, the popular consensus for years, Andrew Lee, was that this Starrcade ruined the brand. Hogan ruined it by having him and Brutus in the main event. I thought that we've seen far worse Starrcades, far worse ones. I thought this was not a great show, but it was fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it ruined WCW, but this was it was not a good show. It was not a bad show. It was
We've
a
seen worse Starrcades, dude.
we've
We've
seen
seen
worse arcades. This was not a good show though. This was not a good
no,
show. Um,
no.
yeah, it was. I can. Here's what I would say. I I can understand why people would feel that way. Is that fair? You could
Well,
understand why people feel that
this
way.
does feel like the most rejection of WCW we've seen since Hogan took over. Like this just feels like WWF in overdrive. Like
Yeah,
someone like they're really trying to book like McMahon on this show.
yeah, and so I
Mhm.
can totally understand if you are like a hardcore WCW fan, why you would really hate this pay per view and like not enjoy it. I get that. I get that. I don't agree that it was the worst, but I mean, I guess we'll have to get into it. Let's get into it. Let's break it down piece by piece. And if you guys disagree with anything we say, you should go back and watch it, and then or let us know what we're wrong with. But I don't. This was not. This is a show everybody can miss. I pretty much for the most part. Starcade.
I mean, the thing about it is that like they have a couple of good. They they have a couple of good. They have actually a couple of great things on board here. They have first of all the greatest thing they have is they have Macho Man debuting, and they
Yeah.
make it not seem like a big deal. And by the end of the show, he's already an afterthought. And that to me was like kind of crazy. But yeah, they have like on paper, it's like this could be an exciting show. This could be a great opportunity. And they kind of like half-ass it. I have a theory
Yes. What's
about
the
what's
deal?
going on behind the scenes. When we get to that, we'll talk about it. Let's start with the first match.
All right. First off, let's get into all the pre-information. Starcade, its tagline is it's a triple threat. And I was like, why is this called a triple threat? I originally thought that was gonna be some kind of triple threat match. It's not. They call it a triple threat because supposedly they have three main events on this show. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think there was three main events on this show?
No, there was one,
There
but
was
but I
one main event. I have no idea where in their fucking minds they thought like some of these matches that they call the main event is a main event.
well I think they were nervous. I think they were nervous to just completely go with Brutus Beefcake as the main event. So they
Oh,
said, well,
I
there's
see.
actually more main events because
Oh,
Sting and
okay.
Avalanche. I think they still thought there was Money in Earthquake, and I think Hogan wanted Hacksaw to be taken more seriously, so they made that a main event. So Vader.
Okay.
So it seems like the WCW guys aren't being completely buried because they also have main events.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Takes
Mhm.
place December 27th, 1994. We are at the tail end of 1984 at this pay-per-view. Just want to say something about 1994 and wrestling in general. When we first started 1994, reviewing the pay-per-views in 1994, it started off strong, right? Wouldn't you
Mhm.
agree? For
Yeah.
the last few pay-per-views in 1994, we're talking WCW and WWF.
Well, Halloween
It's
Havoc
her.
was good.
Okay, yeah, but like Survivor Series, like these are stinkers. Some of these are stinkers, and
Yeah.
they're the way the year is ending, it's leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And I think sometimes you can watch a really great movie, but if the last ending, if the ending stinks, you just automatically think the whole movie stinks, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's probably what happened with 1994.
Well,
What
I
do you
think the problem with both companies is that they had performers putting on killer matches. They've had performers coming into their own, and by the end of the year, either company they kind of like have tossed aside these performers for performers that either nobody cares about or they're not working. A great example, and again, maybe it might be his injury, and he does, but like they really don't do anything with Shawn Michaels after that ladder match, and I kind of feel like that was I kind of feel like right after the ladder matches where you could have turned him into like a John Cena or a fucking Hulk Hogan, and that he never becomes that. He never ever becomes that. And I think the other thing with WCW is you have Austin and Dustin Rhodes and Cactus Jack all kind of like really stepping up, and you tell Cactus Jack he can leave, and you bury Steve Austin and Dustin Rhodes. I mean, he's not even on this show. I mean,
They got rid of all
he's
the workhorses by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah. And even like with Sting, it's like they're constantly down. Sting's not wrestling in Halloween Havoc. Sting does not wrestle at Bash the Beach, At the end of this show, he's not even in the locker room with everyone. They have fucking Johnny B. Bad and Brad Armstrong standing with Hogan. Sting's nowhere to be seen, and I think that's deliberate on Hogan's part. But meanwhile, when he's at Full Brawl, he steals the show, and I think like you're not rewarding good performances, and it's kind of like Hogan is really like, no, we're gonna recreate 1986, and you can all suck my balls, and he's going into overdrive with that right now at this show.
Yeah, and you can see it. It's terrible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So takes place in Nashville, Tennessee. We got 8,200 people in attendance at 130,000 pay-per-view buys. In comparison, Starrcade 1993, Starrcade before this one, had 115,000 pay-per-view buys. And at Starrcade 95 afterwards, it's 75,000 buys. So next year is going to be a huge dip in Starrcade. It's going to drop. So
next year is like, it's New Japan versus WCW for most of the card. Mm-hmm. And that is a very Dave Meltzer crowd show.
I see. So that's why
you're actually going to like that show. You're actually going to like it.
I'm probably going to like it. So this is kind of like peak Starrcade ratings wise, right? So far.
Yeah, until 97, until 96, 97.
Yeah, for people who are interested. We get the opening graphics giving us our first look at the European stars. Jean-Paul Levesque and Alex Wright. And when I saw it, I was like, oh shit. It was nice kind of seeing like these European stars. It also tells us Mr. T's gonna wrestle. I was like, oh, and they go, and Savage? Is Savage gonna show up? I thought for WCW, this was a really good intro video because it recapped, like, it set everything up. What did you think? Right? Like it said, like if you're going into this blind, like I went into this blind. Before they get to the arena, I now already know what's up. Like I know what happened.
And again, to bring back AEW, this is like something little that AEW can do that they just never do. And people online defend them. Oh, story. But no, if you just start Dynamite with tonight, Sammy Guevara is going to fight Sky Blue to see who's. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you just go over all you just make up shit. Like. I think people can invest a lot more. Yeah, it tells you exactly what you're supposed to be looking forward to.
Exactly. Yeah, it would have been. It was a great intro. They should keep doing stuff like this. Both
I will say
W and WWE.
Ever since Hogan showed up, the production has improved a lot.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see like someone like Mean Gene or like Bobby the Brain Heenan or like Jimmy Hart and Hogan going like, you guys should do X, Y, and Z. Like,
Well, who I think had a lot of influence with production is Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of feel Hogan had more influence on everything across the board than Bischoff or Hogan has ever said publicly. I kind of feel like they have what?
Jimmy Hart?
I think Hogan would tell Jimmy Hart what to do, but I think everything has changed since Hogan has shown up, and some of the changes are more professional. I kind of feel like that doesn't just happen. Like everyone, oh no, it's the same people. Everyone just gets like they didn't half the time they were missing camera shots before Hogan shows up. Now they're not. Yeah, I kind of feel like Hogan had more say and Jimmy Hart had more say. I think Hogan would tell Jimmy Hart what to do, what to say, but I think Hogan's camp had more say in what was going on than their telling us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can see the noticeable sea change in production. Mm-hmm. It's better. All right, we got Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Mean Gene welcoming us in the arena, and then we also see Santa Claus hanging around in the crowd. He's going to play a role later on. We get Aaron Tippin, country singer Aaron Tippin. He sings the national anthem. Some of you guys may remember him from such hits such as, and you let me know if you've heard of these songs, Ray. There ain't nothing wrong with the radio.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Okay. How about Kiss This? Remember that one?
Kiss My Dick? Is that what's the song?
Yo, he should have had a song called Kiss My Dick. Dude, he would have if Aaron Tippin had a single called Kiss My Dick, I would actually know who he was right now. But I have no idea who this guy is.
Dude, this is the in a row, just like not even one hit wonder country stars. Who is booking these fucking acts, man?
Yeah,
If
this is
anything
like
makes you, if anything makes this company still feel like low rent, it's booking these fucking singers. Like, just cut it.
yeah, they book so many country singers that are like I've never heard of. By the way, Aaron Tippin, unlike the other country singers we've seen in the past, he's still
Mm-hmm.
alive. He's 66 years old. How his last album though was in 2015, so he hasn't recorded in a while. He's 66, so it makes sense. All right, they recap before we get into any matches. They recap Randy Savage talking. Randy Savage is now in WCW, and we get him talking with Mean Gene, talking about Hulk Hogan, and he's like, Gene asks him if he's going to be at Starrcade. He goes, oh, I'm going to be at Starrcade, but is it going to be, you see this hand? I don't know. Is it going to be to shake Hogan's hand or is it to slap him? And then they talk about the PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. And as they're talking about this, Bobby the Brain Heenan rips it up. Before we get into that conference, what did you think about like this Macho Man now in WCW and this whole is he friend or foe kind of thing that they have going on?
I don't think anyone bought it because I don't think anyone really thought that Macho Man was going to come to WCW and be Kevin Sullivan's henchman. Like, he's got too much aura to waste on standing behind Bruce Beefcake and Kevin Sullivan. So I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
think if it was like Flair and Arn Anderson that he might join, or like the Stud Stable, I think people might have more intrigue. But I don't think people really thought he was actually going to work with these guys. So
Yeah, I thought the way they brought this like Macho Man in and did this whole like is he friend or foe of Hogan thing was such a missed opportunity of
well,
how to bring in Macho Man.
I think they're doing that because um they want you to they want to tease that there's going to be finally a rematch from 5 on pay-per-view WrestleMania 5. So they don't have any, so they want to tease that. So in case you think this is going to end with like setting up a rematch from WrestleMania 5, I think people still wanted to see that on pay-per-view. These two to go at it again.
I guess, yeah, but it's a miss. It feels like a missed opportunity. You know, it really does.
Yeah. And by the way, Macho Man had in his contract that he had to have a match with Hogan on pay-per-view. So
Really, he had it in his contract. Hey, when I go to WCW, part of my deal is I need to have a match with Hulk
yeah, they
Hogan.
waited. They waited until the very end in '96 to do it. But yeah, they did. Yeah.
Interesting. So, Pro Wrestling Illustrated is a magazine that's run by Bill Apter, correct? And
Yeah.
this guy, he's going to be all over this show. They're doing a Pro Wrestling Illustrated PWI press conference. Well, Bill Apter, he gives Hulk Hogan the 1994 Wrestler of the Year award. By the way, I have a lot of these magazines still because I used to collect these all the time.
Well, I
I have a
remember
lot of them, but
seeing
I
him
don't.
seeing him on the cover of this with the award was like, wow, Hogan like really like, because remember they weren't allowed access to WWF, so WWF never even acknowledged they had the awards. And here he was on the cover holding the trophy, and then he's at this banquet, and I'm like, wow, they really have Hogan going all in on this magazine, which
Yeah,
he never would have done
absolutely.
before.
Yeah, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So we're gonna go into our first match, which is actually the first of our triple threat main events. We got the U.S. title match. We got Vader coming out with Harley Race versus the U.S. champion Jim Duggan. They fight in the aisles as soon as before the bell, and Duggan, however, gets the upper hand on Vader. And Jim Duggan, when he gets into the ring, he beats up on Harley Race as well. Jim Duggan has Vader on the ropes and sends him over the top rope to the floor. They fight on the outside a little bit. They come back in the ring, and then Jim Duggan does this weird. He gets up on the second turnbuckle, and then he just does like a falling backwards elbow drop. It's such a stupid move. And anyway, he misses, and then Vader starts the beat down process. That's such a ugly move, and I hope nobody else does it ever again. Vader goes for a moonsault and he misses. He needs to stop doing that moonsault. He like almost always misses it.
Mm-hmm.
Both men are down and they're sluggish. Jim Duggan hits his 3-point stance finishing move, but Harley Race, he breaks up the cover, and then Harley distracts the referee during Jim Duggan's second cover. Jim manages to go for a second 3-point stance because now he's trying to regain, try to hit his finisher one more time. But
Yeah.
instead, when he does it, Vader moves out of the way and he runs into Harley Race, who's on the apron holding Jim Duggan's 2x4. So what's supposed to happen is Jim Duggan hit the fucking 2x4 with his head. So he turns around and then Vader kind of does a wheelbarrow mat slam on Jim Duggan to win the U.S. title. So your new U.S. champion, Big Van Vader. What did you think about this opening match?
I thought it was a pretty good opening. This was the first time in a long time we've seen Hacksaw Jim Duggan treated like a legit threat and not just a goofball. And I thought he stepped it up. It just goes to show that when you when you tell a wrestler act like a threat, you can kind of like right away get away from the goofiness. I kind of think this is the last time he's ever perceived as a threat or as a badass. He just becomes a doofus until today. But I thought it was pretty good for Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I think it's probably like the last great Hacksaw Jim Duggan match we'll see. Might even be the best one he's ever had on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, this was not a bad opening match. Jim Duggan did look good. He had most of the offense too. He had Vader Vader was bumping for this guy. Really selling.
In Mid-South, he was portrayed as a badass. He was portrayed as like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like a working class badass. And then Vince got a hold of him and made him a retard, basically. And so it was so Duggan always has this in him, and in fact, when he got signed, like the goal was to keep him being like a badass, like he was gonna be like the brawler. He was gonna be like Hogan is more like a superhero, he's more the street brawler. And Vince had an idea of like making him the second babyface, probably give him the title. When he got caught with the Iron Sheik and he got fired for a little, that ruined everything. He said it. Jim Duggan said it. I got rehired. My career never recovered, and Vince portrayed me like an idiot after that.
Yeah.
So Vince. Yeah. So but again, when you allow him to be a badass, it didn't come across stupid because a year ago Jim Duggan was getting annihilated by Yokozuna, and now he's beating the shit out of Vader. But it didn't come across as bad.
Yeah, it's believable when Jim Duggan's like that because for a couple of reasons, in my opinion. His size. Jim Duggan's a big fucking dude. He's huge, and he's tall and he's bulky. So he can actually even paired up against when he tees off against Vader, it like you can believe it visually. Right? And number two, Duggan is very charismatic. Like you can because he's so charismatic in the ring, his toughness is believable. So very good. I thought it was a very good opening match. It was hot. The crowd loved it. Good way to start the show so far. And then from here, it's gonna start taking a nosedive as we got Mean Gene Okerlund. He is with the Three Faces of Fear. Kevin Sullivan, the Butcher, former Brother Blue Tie, the Butcher, and former Earthquake, the Avalanche, former the Shark. We got Avalanche.
Well, he will be. He's the future Shark.
Oh, wait, didn't he come out as a Shark originally though?
No, he's Avalanche first.
He's Avalanche first. Oh, because when he first came out, he had that. Didn't he have that stupid like face paint?
No, that's coming. That's coming.
Oh, okay. So right now it's Kevin Sullivan, the Butcher, and Avalanche at Three Faces of Fear. And Kevin Sullivan, he's holding this crappy styrofoam-looking tombstone, and he's pretending that it's heavy, but he's not doing a good job. So you could tell it's like a styrofoam tombstone. And then Butcher starts cutting a promo on Hulk Hogan. Then they turn to Avalanche, and Avalanche yells at Sting. He's like, something about Sting. And then Kevin Sullivan cuts a promo on Hulk Hogan. And man, the only thing I noticed about this is when I was watching this, Kevin Sullivan, he is shorter than Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah.
This. And I had to look it up. He's 5'9". I thought he looked shorter than 5'9", but he's small.
He is horrible. You know what I think? Watching this show, I realized what I think hurt Hogan's face run in WCW more than anything else, even more than the fact that people kind of thought it was passe. Kevin Sullivan. The fact that he had Kevin Sullivan so involved in his storylines, Kevin Sullivan just stinks of failure. And there's no aura. These three guys, whatever Bruce Beefcake had is gone. He lost all the charisma he once had. They just look like three doofuses. And I thought to myself, why did Hogan Why did? Because Hogan had creative control. He could have said, "I want to squash Kevin Sullivan on Saturday night," and then you never see him again near me. Why? And I think I know why. Kevin Sullivan was the booker back then, and
Mm,
I think Hogan, because Hogan didn't have. So Bischoff claims. All right. So Bischoff claims that like Hulk Hogan sees that I don't know Sting is gonna lose to me. Hogan can't say to Bischoff, "I want it to be reversed." Bischoff can be like, "None of your business. Leave it alone." Right? You know what I'm saying? There's only stuff that Hogan only had creative. Hogan only had legally, and it's in the contract, creative control over stuff that involved him. You know, if he's involved, yeah. But I think the reason he kept Kevin Sullivan in his programs was so he could tell Kevin Sullivan what to do with the other programs he wasn't involved in.
probably. I mean, Hogan's a master politician, right?
Yeah.
But okay, I like Kevin Sullivan. I don't think he's bad, and I
Oh, I
think
hate
like,
him.
well, let me get to like what I was gonna say because I'm gonna shit
Okay.
on him a little bit too. He's not bad. Like his wrestling's not bad, and I think he's got a lot of creative ideas. But he should be nowhere near the main. You
No.
know, like if he's doing like this
Oh,
tag match with like Cactus Jack and his brother Dave Sullivan, like I'm fine with that. But
yes. Yeah.
the fact that he's like the mastermind behind like the three faces of fear that going after Hogan, and it's just like it brings everybody down. Like
Yes.
everybody. It brings everybody down. And I just
That's yes.
it's what it
He
is.
has a lot to offer. I mean, ever since he's become the booker, I don't know if you noticed, but the finishes are a lot better than they used to be. Like
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and so he does have a lot to offer, especially behind the scenes. But that's it. Like I don't need this guy on my TV. I don't need this guy like being perceived as a threat to Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. It would be like bringing in Evil Uno and having him be Cody Rhodes' number one villain. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like, you know
Although
what? It would
they
be
did
on
do
if
that.
you
They
brought
did do
in,
that for a
if
little
you,
bit, didn't they?
yeah, they mean it's like like if you bring in like it's like making like I don't know Sean Spears like Roman Reigns like the number one threat to the bloodline is Sean Spears. And it's like really, you know,
Yeah.
it's like I
Yeah,
like Sean
and it's
Spears,
like
but really,
Hogan's usually smarter about that. And I just
yeah,
think that he was like, I think he knew that if Sullivan gets to rub shoulders with Hulk Hogan, he'll be like, hey, brother, I think
doesn't work for
Dustin
me, brother.
Rhodes, should job the Blacktop Bully, brother. Can you just change that on the booking sheet, brother? Sure, Hogan, whatever. I get to be in the main event, right? Yeah, bro, dude, you're always in my main events, brother. I'm gonna sell for you, you little dude. Give me 1 second, Andrew Lee,
A
bro.
little dude
Little dude, I'm gonna sell for you, little dude.
started.
Hey, little dude. So, I'm gonna put you in my
I
match,
can
little dude. Let me see those booking sheets. Let me see
I
those booking
can
sheets, little
picture
dude.
Hogan saying that. Yeah,
But
well, as long as you're me, you'll always be in the main event, little.
yeah, I just need you, brother. I just need you to make sure that Steve Austin's just only on Saturday night, dude. I don't need him on the pay-per-views anymore. I don't
All right,
like it.
let's get to our second match. We have this is it's the European match, guys. It is Jean Paul Lavec from France versus Alex Wright, Das Wonder Kid from Germany. Is Triple H's family really from France? Is he really French?
He has French heritage.
Really, he really does.
Yeah, well, Levex his real last name.
Oh, I guess he does have that's a French last name, huh?
Yeah, he has heritage. I mean, I don't know if his father was born. Apparently, like everything about the Triple H thing, where he came from a wealthy family from Connecticut, that part is true. His family did have money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know for like actually he was born in New Hampshire.
Well, whatever. Like they have money. His family had money because he did an
Yeah.
interview in WWF magazine, and he's like, the part about me having money and my parents spoiling me is true, but all that other shit was Vince's creation. That's not really me, the snob stuff. And then,
Interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting European match. Yeah, it's Triple H, young Triple H versus young Alex Wright. Um, Alex Wright, I forget. how talented he kind of really was. He did this
Mm-hmm.
really good match. He did this really nice jumping head scissors early on in the match. Like he just jumps up, grabs Triple H, John Paul in a head scissor, and he just like takes him down. But Jean Paul gets out of another head scissors, and then he hits a hard shot. So it starts off like a technical match. You guys are like, oh, they're doing a technical, scientific match. But then like Alex keeps getting a little upper hand on it. So eventually, like Jean Paul snaps, and then he hits the first hard shot, like the punch, and then he just starts doing stomps, just fighting, brawling, basically brawling. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes him the heel in this match. But Alex Wright, he fires back, and then he does like a backflip in the corner, and then he does an O'Connor roll for the win. Not a bad match in my opinion. It's kind of like an exhibition match, and they told a story in the ring, so I didn't mind it. What about you?
I kind of thought when I look back on the show that this might have been the best match on the show. Triple H, I will say this: Triple H is ready to go. Like he seems very polished for his first time on pay-per-view. He doesn't seem like he's nervous. He seems like he's very aware of how to wrestle on TV. He already kind of has his style down. A lot of guys have to find themselves. He seemed ready to go. This seems like a guy that is determined. Like you can see in him, I'm gonna make it no matter what. I don't know what I have to do, but I thought he was pretty good. Everything is there right from the jump. And Alex Wright also brought a lot to the table. Alex Wright is very underrated. So I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought this match was going to be that good, and Hunter needs seasoning, but I think right from the start, like Triple H kind of knows what he's doing.
Here's something to know about. Here's an interesting fact about this.
Mm-hmm.
Triple H actually started training wrestling in 1990. Okay.
Yeah. So he's had a bunch of years in it.
Okay, but here's the thing. He did not actually have his debut match until 1992. So he actually trained for 2 years before he made his pro debut on March 24th, 1992. So 2 years of training. And then at this point, it's about 2 years. Within 2 years now, he's already on TV. In 1994, he started debuting in WCW. So he had about, I would say, like 4 years really training and experience, 4 years experience, right? So even with 4 years experience, I'll admit, you're right. He's very polished. Maybe it's because he had that 2 years of like just training before he made his pro debut.
Yeah, I think, the thing about Triple H is he's never going to be like the greatest. He's never going to, but he comes prepared. He's ready. And I think with a lot of guys in WCW, I mean, even Brian Pillman to a certain extent, even like Marcus Bagwell, they're still playing around. They still like, oh, this. He is like, I want Vince to notice me right now. I want everyone to notice me, and I want him to put like he knows what he's doing, and I think that's what makes him such a good leader now in WWE because he knows what to tell. He knows what to tell people to do to get noticed because he knew it right from the jump. I'm guarantee you, Killer Kowalski didn't tell him half this shit. He probably learned it by watching television. He probably learned it watching Shawn wrestle, watching Hogan wrestle, Flair wrestle, Scott Hall. He's really, I was very impressed. Again, I thought it was going to be like a shitty match and this fuck guy doesn't know what he's doing yet. But I think he already knew what he was doing. I'll give him that.
Yeah. He's already really well into his character. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So after this, we're getting to our next match, and Honky Tonk Man's music plays, and then it stops. Mm-hmm. And Tony Schiavone's like, "Well, what happened? What happened to his music?" And Brian and Bobby the Brain Heenan's like, "I don't know what happened. Let me tell you what happened. WCW happened. That's why. that's my
no. I think they did that on purpose to bury him because you notice what Tony Schiavone says about him.
Yeah, I initially thought that they fucked up because it's WCW. They've always had technical problems, but it's actually is on purpose. We have Arn Anderson comes out, and the commentator starts questioning, "Where is Honky Tonk Man? Where is Honky Tonk Man?" So here is what I looked up. Do you want to say it, or do you want me to tell you the background of what I read?
No, you can say it. I said a little bit of it a few weeks ago. Wow, it's been so long since Halloween Havoc, but yeah, you say it.
Okay, so Honky Tonk Man is actually real life friends with Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. And he was working on the indies after he left WWF. And then he, through Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan, was able to get a job in WCW. But Eric Bischoff, the president, never liked Honky Tonk Man's work. Never liked it. Wasn't a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "I'll hire you, but not on a full-time contract. But I'm going to hire you on a $1,000 per appearance a deal. So what that means is, if you're on a show, whether it be I'm doing a promo or whether it be wrestling, you're going to get $1,000, which is not a bad deal. But
Yeah.
Honky Tonk Man didn't like it. He wanted like a full-time contract like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so they already had problems. So initially they had Halloween Havoc, his match against Johnny B. Bad, and they asked him to lose to Johnny B. Bad. And he said no. This is why that match went to a draw. Remember that? It went to like a DQ draw. Now here's where it starts getting ugly. Initially, when they asked him to drop to Johnny B. Bad, Honky Tonk Man went to his friend Hulk Hogan, and he got it to change it to a draw. So he already went behind the boss's back. So already, if you're Eric Bischoff, you hate this fucking guy, right? Because he's doing shitty things like that. Then this is why now, because now Eric Bischoff doesn't like this guy. Starrcade in Nashville. Remember, this is kind of like where Honky Tonk Man's backyard, right? They were like, as punishment for what he did at Halloween Havoc, where he went behind his back and went to Hogan and carried favor, he said, "You're gonna lose to Johnny B. Bad tonight here," right? And Honky Tonk Man said, "All right, well, I want a full-time contract where I'm not going out there," basically. And Eric Bischoff, this is supposedly in the loading docks. And Eric Bischoff said, "No, you're fired. Get out of here." And Eric Bischoff supposedly claims this was his most personal favorite firing of all time. And Honky Tonk Man, when he was told this, responded with, "Well, I'm, like, that's great that this is his favorite firing." Like, he's proud of it too. Did you hear anything different about this whole situation?
No, I heard that. I understand Honky Tonk Man being I want a contract. Hey, but I also see Bischoff's point of view. Listen, Hogan's bringing in everyone. And I think you kind of got to put the foot down on one guy so that the other guys don't think I can run wild on you because I have Hogan as my back. And he chose Honky Tonk Man. And, look, Bischoff was a pushover for Hulk Hogan. But you can't let everyone know that from day one. You got to put a little bit of doubt in people's heads so they listen to you. So,
absolutely,
And you know what? Ultimately, WCW didn't lose or gain anything from Honky Tonk Man. So,
I think Eric Bischoff made the right call. I think Honky Tonk Man, Honky Tonk Man didn't know his place, basically.
Well, he's gonna keep pulling the Hogan card, where I think people like Earthquake and Hacksaw and like Bruce Beefcake were probably like, "I'm just happy I'm here with Hogan. Just let me fucking get my paycheck."
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Honky Tonk Man, he doesn't know his place. Like, he doesn't understand. Like, you're like just be glad that you're here kind of situation. All right. So we're gonna still have this match though. It is for the television title. Match number 3. Arn Anderson instead of Honky Tonk Man is the challenger. Arn comes out with Colonel Rob Parker and the bodyguard May versus the champion Johnny B. Bad. The story of this match is Johnny B. Bad, who's got a boxing background, he can out punch Arn Anderson, but Arn Anderson, he can out wrestle him, and that's what they're doing. He's out wrestling Johnny B. Bad, but every once in a while, Johnny B. Bad fires up, punches him in the face a couple times. Arn tries to cover. The finish comes when Arn tries to cover Johnny B. Bad with a foot on the ropes, but the ref sees it and stops it. Arn gets mad and he argues with the referee about it. And while Arn is distracted, Johnny B. Bad rolls Arn Anderson up from behind to retain his television title. I know Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrow, is not everyone's favorite wrestler, and he's not their cup of tea. But so far, even in this match, he's proving he's not a bad wrestler, in my opinion.
Yeah, this was a good performance by Johnny B. Bad. I just couldn't really get into this match that much, but it just it just felt like a very vanilla WCW match. But yeah, Johnny B. Bad again. And we say this every time we watch his matches. He's not good. I'm very curious to see where the drop off hits. I'm very curious to see what happens.
He's not bad yet. He's still all right. Yeah, he's still
what happens in because right now, I don't remember this match, but at SummerSlam '96, I think he fights Owen Hart 1-on-1. And I can't see. I'm like, how the way Johnny B. Bad's progressing and how Owen's progressing. how is that not like one of the best matches of the year? But I don't think it was any good. But I'm interested to see what happens when we get there. So
Yeah. So far, so good. But you're right. It's kind of like it's not a bad match, but it's not an interesting match either. So
exactly.
yeah, slowly it dips coming in. We get another recap of the PWI awards. This time it's for the Nasty Boys who win Tag Team of the Year, and we're gonna go. It's gonna lead to our next match. Before we do so, Tony Schiavone starts plugging the Stockyard, which is a restaurant in Nashville who has been catering basically the crew and the staff at WCW. They're like, oh, this place is fantastic. I had to look this place up. They actually closed in 2015. 36 years long that they are around. Let me
Well,
tell you
listen,
something. They lasted longer than WCW.
if they had only stayed up until 2019, Tony Khan could have saved them by having them cater the pay-per-views.
Absolutely, man.
Mhm.
They only survived a couple more years. Let's go to match number 4. It is for the WCW World Tag Team titles. We got the returning Harlem Heat to pay-per-view with Sister Sherry versus the Nasty Boys, who are the tag champions. They do this really cool face-off in the beginning of the match where they're both
Mhm.
teams in there. That's a great visual. They all start brawling. Sags and Booker T, they'll start the match, but eventually leads to the Nasty Boys double teaming both members of the Harlem Heat. Sherry distracts, you know, the Nasty Boys enough for Stevie Ray to attack Brian Knobs from behind. But Brian still kind of maintains control until Sags basically gets attacked from behind, and then Stevie Ray takes Sags and he starts beating him up on the outside in the aisleway. The Harlem Heat, they start putting the beatings on Jerry Sags, and then until Jerry Sags clotheslines Booker T. Now, when he does this to do the comeback, he clotheslines Booker T, and Booker T kind of like somersault like sells it, and he like ends up like leg dropping like Sags on the head. It's kind of brutal looking. It's like, oh my gosh. And then Sags basically double DDTs both the Harlem Heat members, and then this allows Brian Knobs to hot tag in. Sherry gets on the apron, and she's supposed to like spray Stevie Ray in the eyes with. She's basically what's supposed to happen is that Stevie Ray is holding Brian Knobs for Sherry to take out her hairspray from her purse and then spray it in Brian Knobs' eyes. But she takes out her hairspray, and Brian Knobs ducks, but Sherry's hairspray isn't really working. And she finally gets it to work, but when she finally gets it to work, Brian Knobs' head's already down. So you see her just like actively like aiming towards Stevie Ray's eyes. It looks kind of shitty, but it is what it
Mhm.
is. Jerry Sags drops an elbow, a top rope elbow drop on Booker T, and then Sherry goes up on top, and then she goes for a top rope splash, and Jerry Sags moves out of the way for her to splash Booker T, her tag team member, on accident, and the referee calls for a DQ. This is a DQ. I guess it's a DQ finish. Nasty Boys get Sherry at the end of this, and they got the hairspray, and then they go, you know what? Never mind. And then they go, and then they instead of spraying her in the eye with the hairspray, they give her the fucking pity city, rubbing her face in the armpit, send the crowd home happy. I got 2 questions for you. Let's go to the first one. Number one, what do you think about this match?
I thought it was a typical "we got to kill time" match that WCW does. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't great. It was just, I kind of, before nowadays, I think people, including WWE, have approached pay-per-views where like every match has to be some type of banger or not. I think WCW, even up to this point, is like, we have to fill 3 hours. This match will be good. This match will be good. Just go out there. Don't kill yourselves. We just need to. I just think they think the fact that we're putting wrestling in your TV is good enough. We don't need these two. And that's what I thought this was their time waste. This was their time sink. You know.
Yeah, that's true. This kind of felt like that. It wasn't bad, but this was also the
Mm-hmm.
longest match on the whole show. Longest
That's what
match.
I meant. It just feels like now we've gotten 20 or 30 minutes of the show. We don't got to worry about. Now we just got to worry about 2 hours.
Basically, yeah. All right,
Mm-hmm.
next question I have for you. What would you rather take if you had to choose between, let's say you're a wrestler, you're in a match, and they're like, you got to take one of these. You got to take the Pity City or you take the Stink Face.
Oh, the
Which
pity
one?
city.
What?
The pity
The
city.
pity.
The armpits are like just healthier, man, than someone's asshole.
They're healthier. Okay, that's a good question. What would you, if you're listening, what would you rather take, the pity city or the stink face? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If it was if I was taking from like a female wrestler, probably the stink
Oh, that way that changes things. If Sky Blue gives me a stink face, I'll fucking she can fucking I'll job to the stink face. She can also like give me the bonsai drop if she's also sitting on my face. That's great. She can pin me for a 10 count. They can fucking carry me away in a stretcher. I'm fine with that. But if we're talking about Rikishi or Brian, yeah, I'll take the pity city. So.
yeah. So Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart, they're talking to Chris Cruz for a hotline, and we're gonna get another PWI awards segment. This time it's for Sting. Sting did not win Wrestler of the Year, but he gets Most Popular Wrestler award. And Mean Gene talks to Sting about Avalanche. Hey, how do you feel about Avalanche? And then Sting goes, "I'm gonna walk away as a giant killer." All right.
And Hogan's like, whoa, dude, whoa, that's my thing, brother.
That is his thing, yeah. Sting's like towing, like Sting is clearly a threat to Hulk Hogan. You can see it. You can wholly see it.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
We're gonna go to match number 5, which this is the match. This is the score settling match. It is Kevin Sullivan. He comes out, and Kevin Sullivan's doing the whole Brody. He's doing the whole loser Brody thing. He's going.
Oh, when he does that, it's just like what the because he doesn't do that in the back. He talks. Then suddenly he's like this. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like it's just so fucking forced. He's got his belly. He's got his belly out over his fucking little pants.
Yeah, it's like he's like an evil genius when they're doing backstage segments, but then he comes out and he's like a mindless like berserker.
No,
like
it's so fucking bad. It's so fucking like it's so amateur, dude. And this match was an abomination. This match was really like you can just smell the like Hogan just wants to be 1985 again so fucking bad.
Oh yeah, this match is gonna take this whole pay-per-view down like 2 grades.
Yeah,
because you're not gonna, if you're not gonna watch this pay-per-view, you're not gonna believe whose opponent is gonna be. Yeah. Kevin Sullivan's opponent in this score settling match is none other than Mr. T.
Who is so out of shape compared to 10 years before this.
And to top this off, he's dressed like a referee for some reason. He even has this referee like nightcap. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
By the way, by 1994, Mr. T was seen as like just this fucking loser relic. I think now he's cooler now because it's like retro. Yeah, but like it was just seen as like nobody had any 80s nostalgia in 1994. They just wanted to like live in the 90s, and like he just was like this fucking relic, and they're still trotting him out, and it's just like Hogan, dude. It's like the 80s are over. Like he just, it's like I just want to go back, brother. So bad, so bad to trot out Mr. T.
Yeah, and I just don't understand why he's just like a referee and everything. Just confusing.
This is probably where the WCW fan base was like, it was better when it was Starrcade 9-1. They had Ron Simmons fighting Vader.
You know what? At this point, I also don't blame them. Like, yeah, I kind of see your point. Anyway. All right. Anyway, during this match,
you know what it feels like? It feels like they're desperately trying to recreate a time that wasn't theirs, and that you're never going to recapture because Mr. T, he was barely an athlete when he wrestled, and it's just you're never gonna get this back, and you're chasing something that's gone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during this match, Santa Claus, who we saw earlier in the show, he's out and he's giving out T-shirts to the fans as Mr. T and Kevin Sullivan, they fight to the outside. As they're fighting on the outside, by the way, one of the cameramen falls, right? He falls down and he's still recording. He's still recording while he's on the ground, and which is normal. We've seen that before. But then Mr. T falls on top of the cameraman. And I think Mr. T is so tired, he just stays laying on this guy, and Kevin Sullivan is beating Mr. T while he's still on this cameraman, and it looks so funny, and you could even see the cameraman smiling because he knows how ridiculous this is. Like Mr. T stays on him for a very long time, like he just doesn't get up from this guy, and he's still the cameraman. He's still recording, and you get there's a point where you get a shot. He gets a shot of Kevin Sullivan between his legs, and you get a good close-up shot of Kevin Sullivan's crotch.
And Tony Schiavone has to sell it. Yeah, he's like, "Where's this?"
Tony Schiavone does sell it. He goes, "You don't see that every day." It's funny. I gotta admit that was almost like worth this match.
So Bobby Heenan had a good comeback, unless you go to like the right, unless you go like to the red light district or something. Like.
Yeah. Bobby Heenan did have a good comeback. He was like, "Oh, it depends on who you are," or something like that. Anyways, while this is happening, Jimmy Hart runs down and he shoves his megaphone into the Santa's, I guess, Christmas bag, and Santa reveals that it's actually Dave Sullivan. And he, with his bag, with the loaded bag, with the megaphone, he fucking brains Kevin Sullivan with the bag, and he falls down, and Mr. T pins Kevin Sullivan for the win. Afterwards, Kevin Sullivan is mad, and he starts beating up Dave Sullivan after the match. I mean, anything else you want to add about this atrocious match?
No, it's literally an abomination. You never see Mr. T back in wrestling, which is great. It was just terrible. It's pathetic, and this is when I realized the reason why I was like, after a performance this bad, why would Hogan keep associating himself with Kevin Sullivan? And then I realized it had to be because he could have influence over the entire show. You know,
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that
because why Hogan's such a smart guy? Why keep this fucking loser around, dude? He looks like such a fucking loser out there. Kevin Sullivan, like they just look like two fucking idiots. And, oh man, imagine paying $30 for this.
Oh, I know. Yeah. If I paid $30 for this, oh my god, I would have been so pissed.
And this is, and you know, and this is, I think, is also why you're right, the WCW fans, because this is not their nostalgia. They did not give a fuck about WrestleMania 1 or WrestleMania 2. They laughed at the WWE fans. Yeah, and now you're trying to present them this that they have nostalgia for Nikita Koloff. They have nostalgia for Tully Blanchard. And you're like, that shit doesn't matter. Here's Vince's nostalgia. And Vince is even moving on from his nostalgia.
Yeah, they should have been recreating like what happened with Johnny Weaver at Starrcade #1, you know?
Oh, Johnny Weaver would have been great to have him come out.
Yeah, they would have popped for Johnny Weaver. Yeah, actually.
How about Carlos Colon starts licking Dave Sullivan in the head?
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. They were 100% just catering to the wrong fan base. They really were.
Yeah, because
it's crazy.
They don't like, you know, when WrestleMania hit, a lot of these NWA fans were like, that circus bullshit. They didn't give a fuck. And it's like, and I can see it's like, but this is not what I wanted. This is like if AEW threw a party, I don't know, through like a party to celebrate like Razor Ramon. I don't know. It's just like
no. You know what it's like, because that's also not that far away from history. Like what happened, right? They're recreating things that happened a couple of years ago. That would be the equivalent of like AEW doing things
a bloodline reunion in 10 years.
No, them doing something that happened in NWA. Like, let's do that Father Mitchell like cocaine spot. It's like nobody
Okay, I thought you meant old school NWA, because I kind of feel like
current NWA. Like let's bring in a Tyrus. Like they're you know, like let's bring in Tyrus and make him the champion. Like it's like shit. Like believe it or not, there is NWA has their own fan base, right? That love shit and like. But it's not for everybody. I'm telling you right now, AEW fans probably hate that garbage, right?
But the hardcore people who loved who ordered Starrcade every year, they have no nostalgia, and they think like this shit is pathetic.
Yes, and they have no nostalgia for WWF. You know,
exactly. That's what Mr. T is. Mr. T is a WWF guy, and even back then, if Mr. T showed up at WrestleMania 11, people would groan, including me, you know? So
absolutely. Even the WWE fans would have, at this point, grown about it. The nostalgia he has to wait another 10, 15 more years before the nostalgia to really kick it.
Now, I mean, I bought the Mr. T figure, so now we're back on with the Mr. T love. But
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
All right. Mean Gene, he is with Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan, who cuts a promo on Butcher and saying, "I hope you change your mind, Butcher. We are friends. But I hope he changes his mind. But the faces of fear, they're controlling him. Kevin Sullivan, that mastermind, is controlling my friend." And then they talk about Macho Man, and he goes, "Macho Man, him and me, we have our differences, and we never settled it. So who knows?" And then Jimmy Hart says, "Well, unlike Jimmy Hart goes." Unlike you, as long as I'm breathing, I'm never gonna turn on you, Hulk Hogan. As long as I have breath in my lungs, I'm
Please,
never gonna turn on you.
please keep paying me for the rest of my life.
And then he goes, "Hey, and you, Randy Savage, are you friend or foe? I don't know." And then and then they turn to Mean Gene, and then Mean Gene stutters for like one of the first times I ever heard him stutter. And Hulk Hogan fucking mocks him. He goes,
Oh, I saw that. That was
"Oh my
funny.
god!" Like Hogan just starts mocking his stutter, and then he gets like angry at Mean Gene, and he like leaves angry. It was very out of character for me to see Hogan get pissed off at Mean Gene and like mock his stutter. What was going on? Because
I
this
think
is not
Hogan.
the this is not the only time they do it. Later on, they're gonna do a recap of all the times like leading up to the big event, and there's a point where they're on the beach, where Hogan's on the beach and Mean Gene's actually like trying to interview him from the
But he
beach.
yells that you're asking me a bunch of stupid
Yeah, and
questions.
he yells at Gene there too. He goes like, "Why don't you ask them the hard questions? Why are you always asking me?" And he's like noticeably annoyed and mad at me, Gene. I don't what is going on
Hogan,
here.
Hogan, I don't think he realized that around this area he's doing a lot of heel things, and he's not supposed to be a heel. But like that little, I kind of feel like that was the real Hogan coming out. I think Hogan knew this show stunk, and there was no saving it, and he was annoyed because I feel like he dictated everything that happens to me.
Oh,
You
shit was
know, but
shit was
yeah, I
so
think
funny
he got
when
it. I think it was live, and he got annoyed that Gene stuttered because he already knew like the promo. The Jimmy Hart thing, like just how do you think that makes you likable? You have this little Weasley guy. Oh God, dude. And again, like
as
everything
long
he
as
goes,
I have
we
friends, as long as
yeah,
I
it's like you're referencing WrestleMania 5, you're referencing Summer of '89 with Bruce Beefcake. You're constantly referencing stuff that happened somewhere else that these fans didn't really give a shit about or weren't watching, you know? And I just think it's like, I mean, you kind of have to acknowledge some of this stuff, but like it does feel like it's just building upon everything that Vince did and not building upon anything that this company.
Yeah, and oh my god, that stutter when he mocked the stutter was so funny.
Dude,
It
it
was
was
one of
like,
the funny.
you know what it was? It was like seeing a different side of Hogan, like almost like
It's
this
such
is
a
like the real
bully.
Hogan.
It's such a bully thing to do. And
Yeah.
like Mean Gene didn't even stutter that bad. He just like went
No.
up, and then Hogan's like,
It was really funny, dude. It was like this is supposed to be how Hogan is when no one's watching. He's like making fun of like the other wrestlers he works with and stuff.
dude.
You
I
know?
feel like this is what Hogan was like in like high school. Because here's the thing, he's also a really big guy. Hulk Hogan's humongous,
Yeah.
and for him to like be mocking you, it's like you can't even say anything back to this guy because he's so big. He's a scary, imposing guy. He's like it's like real bully shit. You know, it's so funny. It's the funniest.
Yeah, that moment took me aback, but it was really fun. It was really
Oh man,
fun.
I want to see. You know what? If Hogan, when we start watching WCW and they go into NWO stuff, and Hogan's like this big bully, I'm gonna love it. I
Yeah.
think that's probably why it was so popular because Hogan as a bully is so great. It's so funny. Anyways, we're gonna go to our match number 6. This is our penultimate match. Avalache with Kevin Sullivan versus Sting. This is second of our triple threat main event, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This starts very slow. They're just like circling each other and they're posturing, and it turns into shoving. And then Sting gets his first punch in, and then he does like a woo, and then they still circle some more. Then Avalache beats on Sting, and then they circle some more. Finally, Avalache he beats on Sting some more, and then Sting fights back, and then Avalache he does his aftershocks like jumping up and down, and then he goes for his Avalanche drop, his splash. But Sting fights back, and he does a Stinger splash in the corner. But when he's doing the Stinger splash, the referee actually gets squashed. So the referee is down. Sting is able to, while the referee is down, Sting body slams Avalanche, and then he puts on the Scorpion Deathlock. but he has to drop it to beat on Kevin Sullivan. Eventually, Kevin Sullivan and Avalache, the numbers game wins on Sting, and they start beating on Sting, and Avalache pitches, Avalache drop. But then Hulk Hogan runs down with a chair to save Sting. Another referee comes in, and he calls for a DQ win for Sting. And that's that. What did you think?
I really wanted to like this match. I wanted to give it a fair shake because I feel like Earthquake is another guy that is always unfairly judged as a bad worker. And I really thought, like, I'm very interested to see what Sting can do. And you can tell Earthquake knew this was probably like the most important match he's had in a long time since SummerSlam 90. And he just couldn't do it.
This match sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. I could see Sting was really trying. Earthquake was really trying. Whatever Earthquake had in 1990, it's gone. And it
these
sucks.
Guys had no these guys did not have chemistry together.
No, and Sting is like trying to like make this another Vader match, and Earthquake just doesn't have what Vader has anymore. I don't know what happened. I think maybe he got lazy in those tag matches with Tugboat, but it's not working. And all the stuff that made him special in WWF is like he's just a big fat pig.
Yeah, it stinks. This match sucked.
Horrible.
So we get another PWI awards ceremony segment. This time, Jimmy Hart wins Manager of the Year. And let me tell you, Jimmy Hart did some very important things while he was accepting this award, such as long as I have breath in my lungs, I'm never going to turn on you, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, you saved me. I'm never going to turn on you.
Do you think the original ending of this show was Jimmy Hart turns on Hogan, and then they changed it?
That would have been fantastic if that was actually
because they keep foreshadowing it. He does it in a year, but they keep foreshadowing it so like obvious. Like I'm kind of thinking like that was gonna be the angle. Like maybe they like teased that maybe like Beefcake will win the belt because of Jimmy Hart. I don't know. Like they keep like they a lot of stuff is pre-recorded, and he keeps saying this stuff, and I feel like unless Jimmy Hart just wants
maybe they were thinking about turning Jimmy Hart to, but then they were like, man, this is too many turns. This is too many people turning on Hogan. It just like because then it starts making Hogan look like an idiot if everybody's turning.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, and you know, because they do it a year later, so and then Hogan turns on everyone, which is even better. What I like, you know, what I love about. I know we're jumping ahead, but what I love about the NWO storyline. And when you watch that Nitro, it's like the Dungeon of Doom is formed to destroy Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, right? And then like Kevin Sullivan cuts a promo where he's like, I didn't expect him to turn evil. I didn't expect him to do this. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then the NWO just destroys the Dungeon of Doom, including Kevin Sullivan. And you can tell they're all like, what the fuck is this? And that's like such a fun it was like such a fun, like everyone thought like we could just turn on Hogan, we can fuck with this guy, and then he becomes an even crazier monster than what I don't know. That's like it was like a really fun moment when the Dungeon Doom was like, what the fuck?
I'm sure we'll get to that. But we're not gonna have a fun moment because we're gonna have match number 7 for the world title. We got Butcher, who is the former Brutus the Barber Beefcake with his 3 Faces of Fear stablemates, Kevin Sullivan and Avalache versus Hulk Hogan, the champion, with Jimmy Hart. You see some fans in the crowd that have the Hogan face painted onto their stomach. That was kind of cool. I did like that. Then they showed 2 blonde babes in the audience. Let me tell you, they were cheering for Butcher. That was really interesting. Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, Butcher." That was kind of funny.
Beefcake's ring rats.
What?
Beefcake's ring rats.
Yeah. He's not an ugly man. He's not an ugly man. He's a pretty good looking guy. So they played Hulk Hogan's music, and then when Michael Buffer does the intros, like the Let's Get Ready to Rumble and Hulk Hogan,
they played again.
They played his music again. I was like, what the hell? All right.
Hogan wants like 14 entrances. He deserves.
Yeah, Hogan at this point is just like it's just too much. It's the egomaniac Hogan. All right, so they start fighting, and then they go to the outside. They fight some more, and while they're on the outside, Butcher. He takes one of the cable cords and he starts choking Hogan right in front of the referee. There's no DQ. And then Hogan takes a chair and he starts hitting Butcher with the chair right in front of the referee. And there's no DQ, and I was like, wait a minute, is this a no DQ match? Was I not? Did I miss
It's
that part?
AEW Tony Khan rules. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. They never
Um,
mentioned. They never mentioned that it's no DQ.
dude, you
The
know what?
referee, the commentators go like, "Oh, the referee might, like," but this is just ridiculous.
You know what ruined this match for me? And like, it's like this doesn't fit this fucking character in this story. Hogan's doing this whole thing. Like, I wish you, like, please come to your senses. You're my friend. I don't know what you're doing. And then, like, 30 seconds of the match, he gets the chair and he hits Beefcake in the face with the chair. And then he's like, we all know, like a year ago, Ted DiBiase and IRS were seen as like maniacs to touch this guy's face, like these fucking. And Hogan goes right for it, and he's screaming, "You ain't nothing," while punching him in the face. And Tony Schiavone just kind of doesn't acknowledge it. I'm like looking, I'm like, really? You're hitting this guy in the face? And then Bobby Heenan has to be like, he's hitting him in his face. And it's like, they don't even like build to it. Like maybe build to it at the end of the match. Like it just like completely took me out and completely took me out of the Hogan character. And now I start feeling bad for Beefcake.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude,
yeah, yeah. They
like
do. Yeah, like it's really stupid. It does like if he's your friend and you wish he would turn back, like why are you trying to cripple him? Like you're basically trying to cripple the guy. Like he could have died with his face thing. Oh, it is really it's just it. There's so much wrong with this match.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, Hulk Hogan, he beats on the Butcher in the ring, including biting him. Hogan's like biting this guy multiple times. I'm like, what do you do? Are you the good guy? Or who's the good guy in this? I don't even know.
And also the other thing, Beefcake gets hardly any offense in this match. It's all
Oh
Hogan
my
the
god!
shit
And
out of
the
him.
offense he gets in. So this is why people didn't like him as the main event, and I totally see it. Now, pre-injury, Brutus the Barber Beefcake is actually a pretty decent wrestler. Pre-injury. But after the injury, he can't really do like crazy stuff. He can't do like really athletic stuff. So he can only do basic stuff like back rakes and stuff. But not only that, his offense is so phony looking. Like there's no power behind any of his hits. Do you ever see that? Do you see that meme video of like Tama Tangaloa hitting
Yes.
Okada? That's what Beefcake's offense is like. He
Mm-hmm.
makes these really hokey faces, and then he does these like hits that don't really connect, and they're just like they look so bad. It looks awful.
You know, I think the worst thing you always say how Hogan looked out for Beefcake. I think the worst thing Hogan ever did was give him this match. I think he might have been able to bring his career back if he didn't have this match.
But that shows how good of a friend Hogan.
Why burying this guy's career?
No, by going, like, dude, he gave him an opportunity. It's not Hogan's fault this guy didn't deliver the main event.
Well, but I don't think I think you should have built to it. I think Beefcake should have had a few pay-per-view matches, have him fight Johnny Bad. In other words, like before you give him the main event so soon, I would have had him do a few matches to get ready because like this is the first singles match he has of any significance since 1990, dude. Since WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, but
you're in the main event.
Gave him a main event match shows how good of a friend he is. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good friend because he's not ready for it yet. I mean, he's had a horrible. His wife left him. He had a really rough time. You need to get him ready for this.
I guess maybe he just wanted to get him that pay. I have no idea. Anyways, regardless, Brutus is not ready for this.
No, he's not.
He is not. He puts the sleeper on Hogan. And he finally gets Hogan down, and then they're doing the thing where they're raising his hand 3 times, and then it drops, and because the third time Hogan's arm dropped, I keep calling it Beefcake. Butcher drops the sleeper because he thinks he won, he's celebrating, but Hogan is actually, he puts up his finger going, no, I'm still up, and Hogan's faking being knocked out, and then he hulks up, and he starts hulking up and attacking the Butcher, but then the 3 Faces of Fear members, they run down, and Hogan fights all 3 of them. He fights all 3 of them, and then he also it's 3 against 1, but he's still able to beat them all off, leg drop on Butcher, and win the match. I was like, what the fuck? Three of these guys can't even beat this one fucking guy.
No,
And then
Earthquake put this guy in the hospital 4 years ago. Now, like one punch, Earthquake is like, oh.
yeah. The three faces of fear after the match, they're like facing off against Hogan. Hogan against three guys with a chair. Now, all of a sudden, now that the match is over, Hogan doesn't know if he can fight off these three guys. When all of a sudden, Macho Man Randy Savage, he runs down, and then he's on the faces of fear side, and he goes, "Hey, all four of us, we'll team up against him." And then when they turn their backs on Savage, he tricks them, and him and Hogan start clearing house. Then Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, and Jimmy Hart, they stand in the ring. They stand tall. Everyone's cheering. And then Macho Man and Hogan, they shake hands.
By the way,
before we get to the backstage segment, yeah, what were you saying?
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but like Macho Man, he got no pop when he walked out, and I'm looking at this like you fucked up this intro to him so hard that there's like no pop, good or bad. And then when he hits the guys, there is a pop, but I almost feel like the way you brought him in did him no favors.
Absolutely, you're right. You're right that you said that because he gets no reaction at all when he's coming out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is when he's clearing house with Hogan and when he shakes hands with Hogan, yeah, he gets the crowd loves it. But yeah, they totally messed up bringing him out. Like this was a bad way. This was a bad book.
Also, it's like, dude, does Hogan really need your help? He already has let people know I don't really even need this guy's help, but it's nice that he's here.
Yeah. So, what did you think about this match? Or anything else you want to add about the match before we get to the backstage?
It was awful. It was awful. Mainly, the moment it took me out was when he hit him in the face. I mean, was it as bad as Sting, Black Scorpion in the cage? No, it was better than that match.
Yes, that's true. I will give you that.
Was it as bad as
Nikita Koloff? It's not as bad as Bunkhouse Brawl.
Was it as bad as Nikita Koloff versus Ric Flair when Nikita Cole's penis falls out? No, that was actually a worse match than this. But it's still not very good.
Actually,
no, I know you like Nikita Cole's penis.
I actually like that match better.
But now we'll get to somehow the show gets even dumber. Like, no, I mean, on paper makes sense. You're getting people hyped up for the 95 pay-per-views. But cover the closing segment, then we'll call it a day.
All right. So the match is over now, and then we go to backstage, and now this is typical WCW production. You get a camera shot of like everybody in the locker room just standing there waiting for their cue, and you got Hogan standing in the entrance way just waiting for his cue,
yeah.
And then somebody gives him the cue, so Hogan, like everyone can see Hogan just waiting there, right? Like he's at the entrance waiting, at the locker room, he's just waiting, and when it gets the cue, Hogan has to now enter the room, and everyone has to be like, yeah, cheer Hogan, and we got like Johnny B. Bad. Johnny B. Bad is the first one to go up to Hogan and shake his hand and greet him and say congratulations. You got one of the Armstrongs in there. No more Brian Pillman, who was there previously. Remember, he was one of the ones that Hogan shouted out, like, we're going to take you, Brian Pillman and stuff. That guy ain't there no more. No more.
Sting.
Yeah, no Sting.
Sting can't handle the smoke from Avalache. He's hiding. He's in his locker room crying.
Yeah, it's Hogan, it's Randy Savage, it is Jimmy Hart. They joined this locker room with these guys.
Jerry Sags.
Yeah, the Nasty Boys are in there. And Mean Gene is there, and he's talking to them. And Hogan goes, I'm a little sad because Butcher didn't realize what he was doing wrong. He never changed, so I'm a little sad about that. But I didn't mind hitting him in the face with a fucking steel chair. So anyway, he's talking, and all of a sudden you hear like, Hogan! You're yelling, and everyone's like, what the hell is that? And this is where, in my opinion, it does pick up. Vader just barges in the locker room with Harley Race. The camera shot changes. Now the camera is shooting from behind Vader's back, and it's facing all the good guys in the locker room, and he's screaming Hulk's name, and he goes, Hogan, you've been living with a demon called fear, because I know you're afraid. You're afraid of me. You're afraid of Vader, and because you know you can't beat me, and I'm calling you out, Hogan. And Hogan does, to his credit, does a great job selling it with his face. And then Hogan, in response, shoves Vader. They get into a shoving match, and Vader And then like I thought that part really saved the segment, and then all of a sudden at the end of the segment, Mean Gene he gets Nick
Nick
Bachman,
Bachman.
the commissioner, to come, and he goes, "Well, Nick, what do you say about this?" And Nick's like kind of like fumbling his words around, and
And
he's
then
like,
Gene tells him to go fuck off.
yeah, Gene in typical Hogan fashion is like, "What do you say? You get out of here! You're stepping all over my words." Kicks him out. What did you think about this backstage segment, man? In your honest opinion?
I liked it, but I also kind of feel it diminishes Macho Man. Macho Man comes in, he's cutting a promo. He's a big deal. He's a big deal. And then you kind of just have him standing there like an idiot while Hogan and Vader let everyone know we're actually the real stars of this show. Thanks for coming, Savage. And I would have liked it better if Savage wasn't there. And Hogan and so it just, I don't know, or even if Savage got in his face, like, I'll fight you too, like something. Since Savage just kind of standing there. And this guy's
Savage
lunging
is on the same
everyone.
level as Johnny B. Bad at this point.
Yeah,
in this
he just
segment.
brought this guy in, and now he's just standing there like he means nothing. And yeah, so it was good, but like I think maybe they did understand. It's a big deal. You got Savage. It's a big deal, and I think ultimately they learned it was a big deal. And you're not treating it like a big deal. Though. You're not. And they do eventually. He gets the belt, and he's part of the NWO, but it's a big deal. This is a big deal. This is like if Roman and Seth show up on AEW like in 3 months. You don't have Seth standing there while Roman's getting yelled at by Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know. It's like they're not treating it like a big deal.
I felt like that was more like Hogan's doing.
Yeah, Hogan is bringing these guys in, but he's letting everyone know what the pecking order is. And soon Vader will know the pecking order, and then it'll be sent packing. But Hogan's bringing these guys in, but it's like, just so you know, you all stand behind me.
Yeah.
This is my show. There's no Vince here. I'm Vince. I'm Pat Patterson. I'm Bruce Pritchard. I'm Eric Bischoff too. He doesn't realize that though. But
I will say this about this closing segment though. It got me hyped to see Vader versus Hogan.
Oh, I'm excited for Vader Hogan. Let's go over the next 4 weeks. We're out in 94. Overall, WCW destroyed WWF in 94. Not even close in my estimation.
I agree.
Great year for where the big boys play. All right, here we go. Next week, Royal Rumble 95, Diesel versus Bret. In 2 weeks, Super Bowl 5, Vader versus Hogan. In 3 weeks, Uncensored 95, Vader versus Hogan in a strap match. And then in 4 weeks, WrestleMania 11, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. What are you excited about, Andrew D. Bro?
I am actually looking forward to the Royal Rumble because I just like the Royal Rumble. That has not changed. What about you, Ray?
Hogan, Vader. I'm excited for those 2 matches. I saw some clips. Vader is hitting Hogan really hard.
Oh, okay. I am looking forward to that match. I will agree to that. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. And I'm also excited to see how Macho Man, starting with Super Bowl, he has a match on every pay-per-view until 1999. So I'm kind of excited to see, what his work rate is. So should be interesting. 95. A lot of people say 95 is one of the worst years ever for wrestling, and in terms of work rate. 96, it turns it around. We'll see. I mean, I know every time I watch 95 WWF, it's atrocious. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, guys, that's the show. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe, follow us, Andrew Son of Lee, Ray Goods Comedy on TikTok, and we'll see you next week. We're in 1995 and the Royal Rumble. We'll see you then. Tony Khan, go fuck yourself.